All right, I haven't seen a whole lot of videos on this online, so I figured I'd make one, but this is the Panzer EG240. I guess there's two generations. This is, I think, the first of the generations, and they are both a hot piece of garbage, as far as I know. This is not my firearm. I had a friend who was actually having some issues with the bolt catch getting stuck and wanted me to take a look at it, and in the process, I needed to disassemble it. And I realized there was really nothing out there on how to disassemble it, so I figured I'd make one. Now, worth saying, I am not a certified gunsmith, but I am a design engineer, and I have a few mass-produced firearm designs out there in the world. So I know a few things about this, enough to know that it's trash and you shouldn't buy one. But if you do need to take one apart to fix, or for whatever reason, here's how you're going to do that. First things first, the magazine tube, this is the first thing you're going to want to unscrew. Pretty coarse threads. That'll come right off pretty easy. Next is the barrel tube, same thing. Sounds horrible. This comes off as well. And by taking these two things off, you're gonna free up your handguard. Careful not to lose this thing. It's a little locator for both of those tubes. The handguard slides off. That shows you the whole recoil mechanism. There's this thing you can thread off right here. It's like a little nut for the gas system. Start threading that off. That can come right off the muzzle. Next, you actually have to lock the bolt back. You can pull part of the gas system rearward, and that'll pop off these two retention rings, I guess, that hold all of that gas system together. What I would call the gas block can then slide off, and then you have the piston ring that can come off. You can now close your bolt. Where should we go from here? I guess I saw online that you need some special tools. However, I don't think that's true. There's a ring right here. It's got a bunch of recesses in it that allow you to get a punch and a hammer on it to actually unscrew it. Make sure you're going in the correct direction. Before you do that, there's a little set screw right there. I believe it's a 2.5 millimeter Allen. Yep. Make sure that's off. It's kind of acting as a staking, but it's not really doing much. And now you should be able to punch off that ring. This ring right here will just start to thread off. Your springs will resist it, so you're going to want to pull everything forward from the barrel side as you go. And once that's free, you'll see a gap there, and you'll actually see the barrel start to separate. This is probably the most pesky part of the whole entire process, in which you'll need a set of vice jaws or something similar. What I'm grabbing is the bolt handle with this. Now, this has to be oriented very specifically in order to actually get the bolt handle out. I found that the best way to do that was to pull the barrel forward, which frees the tension on the bolt itself. It's actually able to move freely back and forth. You want to push as far forward as it can go with some gap in there. And you're going to have to yank on this thing to get it out. I might honestly need to put it on the floor, just to put a foot on top of it to get enough leverage to pull this thing out. So we'll do that. Hopefully you can even still see it. There we go. Yeah. Getting a foot on top. And there we go. And that's how it comes out. So how this works is there's this little raised area that has to fit through this little semicircular opening. With that, you should be able to pull the entire barrel assembly out. Set that to the side. Another metric Allen, I believe it's the same size, the 2.5, that actually lets you disassemble your bolt release button. Easy. And now the trigger. That's its own little beast. But this is pretty standard compared to most shotguns. You just have a cross bolt punch. Start it like that. Kind of overhang my table here. And now that's free. Don't lose that. Now your whole trigger should be able to kind of pull out just like that. Now, the worst part of this design, in my opinion, is this bolt catch mechanism on the inside. It's stamped steel, but you have an aluminum receiver and no reinforcement. So as upward pressure is being applied to the bottom of this, it's gonna wear in and catch eventually on that receiver, which seems to be the weak point, which is what was the problem that my buddy was having. So as far as removing that, grab a 3/32 punch, and you'll see a hole where the roll pin goes down in there, and it's through all the way to the ejection port face. So you're just gonna hammer that out right through the ejection port face. Don't lose that either. Put that to the side. And here's your bolt catch mechanism, which has got a spring nested in it. I cut a coil off of that because it was causing problems, but it doesn't look like that normally. It's normally a closed coil on the end. And then there's your button. As far as the stock goes, that's the easy part. Grab yourself a Phillips screwdriver. You'll see two little dimples on the back of the stock. Just plunge down right through them and you'll feel your Phillips head grab. Unthread. And then the other one. You really don't need to get that fully off, as long as it's rotated out of the way to access this larger Allen key, which I believe is a 6mm. What this is going to do is separate the stock from the receiver. So I'm backing this off now. And you'll see the gap here start to form as that gets loose. Lots of threads in it. Okay, now we're clear. That's about as far as I care to go down with it. I'm not sure if this magazine tube is pressed in or what the situation is there, so I didn't bother to go any further. If you do want to take this back end off, there's a nut here, but I did not need to go that far. So this gave me access to get to everything I needed to sort of massage some corners down in there that were very sharp and had burrs on them that were causing his issues. So let's do some reassembly now. Put the stock back on. Got this little alignment steel piece in there. Make sure that's aligned. We'll start the threading. Grab our 6mm Allen. Which doesn't want to start. There we go. We'll just get that snug. Swing our recoil pad back up. Grab our Phillips head. Find the teeth and start to thread. and kind of alternate back and forth until it's snug. Okay. Yep, that's pretty good. Don't need the Phillips head anymore. Bolt catch goes back in. Springs on the rear side. We'll just kind of nest it back into the slot that it was. Grab our roll pin. Start it in the hole. Grab our hammer or punch, whatever you're comfortable with. Get that seated. Verify some function there to make sure it's toggling back and forth like it's supposed to. You really don't want to go too far with this roll pin because it'll actually penetrate into the same slot that the rails ride in. So make sure that that's flush. Don't go any deeper than flush. All right, now we got our trigger pack, which I might actually wait on. Let's do the barrel first. So just like before, this is going to be the biggest pain. So I found the best way to do that is to get it started, not all the way seated, and you're going to have to line up that semicircular groove on the bolt in order to reinsert your bolt button, or your bolt lever anyway. So again, I found the best way to do this is to release some tension. There we go. All right, so what I'm gonna do is push back rearward on the front part of that piston. It'll then align. You'll see all the features align in there, which will allow you to drop your bolt catch down through. While the tension is still applied, I'm gonna grab a hammer and just whack that button to seat it. I think that's good. Yep. That's how it's supposed to feel. We're good. Now I can start to thread that front nut back in. Just pulling the bolt back to release some tension. Once that's snug, you want to grab your punch and hammer and tighten it up. It's about as far as it can go. You don't need to kill it. Grab that little set screw that you had and find an open hole with your 2.5 Allen. And we'll snug that in. Okay, bolt catch button, 2.5 Allen. Trigger pack, back in the bottom, push it rearwards. If you can, it should seat right in there. Just make sure the hammer's pulled back, that'll give you a little room. There we go. So it actually pops in to the back of the stock here to where the grip is. You should be able to see now if your pinhole's lined up, that looking right down through the receiver. Starter pin, hammer. And we're good. Okay. Now the recoil components. First we have our piston, right down over the front. Got this, what I guess was calling a gas block. That's a really tight fit, so careful getting over those threads in the front. It will mar them up. Okay, we're in there. Those two little receiver rings have a little recess Stick those in, and then let that gas block come back forward over top of them. Gas block nut. Get that as snug as you can. It'll start to spin the gas block when it's tight enough. Just quick verification of function before we continue. We're good. Handguard. Spacer retainer thing. Get that seated. And you'll notice you'll have a gap there. You gotta force it all together. It'll snap. Your barrel sleeve. Thread that all the way in until it's snug. Got a detent on the end. Or the threads are just that bad. I may not have a detent. And then your magazine to shroud. Get that snug. And that's all of it. Piece of trash.